it's going to be a good discussion afterwards, definitely, but I think I can incorporate it, yes. So, thank you, hi. Nice to kind of see everyone. Thanks for being here. So yes, Jimmy said, I actually didn't start, but I spent 3 years at Infragistics, so shout out to everybody there. And then moved on to Paysafe, where we had like a lot of engineers, a lot of outputs, and some outcomes as well there. And recently, for the past 6 months, a bit more, I've been working at BVNK, which is scale up, I want to say, of about 300, 400 people. It's an interesting piece, and I'm going to show some examples, more kind of share loosely a little bit from my experience and how I started there and what happened. So a little bit probably more about me. When you look at a Bulgarian male, on average, Bulgarian males have dark brown hair. On average, they have dark eye color. And on average, they're about 178.2. I'm 178. On average, it's about the women a little bit, so men are not so fertile these days, but it's people have, generally they have about 1.6 kids. I do have 2. They usually live in urban areas. I do too. And averagely they weigh 77, in good days, yes. So I seem to be relatively average Bulgarian. An average roadmap that I've seen in the past few years includes a lot of different things. They are clustered, or not clustered at all, but they can be interesting projects with amazing names, catchy names. They can be things that are called like UX improvement. So you're seeing this. How many people have anything that's called UX improvement or experience improvement on something on a roadmap? Have they seen? Okay, interesting. So you have different bits and pieces of the application, like the onboarding, let's say. You have very interesting abbreviations. Very interesting abbreviations. In my experience, I've had SMT, GSN, I've had DLT, and some others. It's very interesting because you're seeing this on the roadmap, and you're like, okay, this roadmap has a lot of things. And kind of on average, I call these things the Gazebrush Fallenstein. So it's anything goes, really. It's anything goes because it's like a lot. It's different. It's interesting. So, but the thing is, the average person can only keep about 7 ± 2 items in their working memory as per Miller's law. And you know, the average roadmap might be a bit too much for an average designer in an average team squad of a company of hundreds of people to kind of grasp and understand kind of what's going on, where they sit. And this creates some frictions at a later stage. So when I started, whoops, that's too quick. So when I started, I was faced with a roadmap. I was like, there's a lot of things. Some of them have a lot of good descriptions. They were all good things, honestly. If you delve down deep and you spend the time and you understand like what's going on behind it, what are we trying to achieve? Some of them could have an outcome. Some of them could have a revenue numbers attached and whatnot and whatnot. And those were kind of things that been worked out in a successful company as well. So we're making money as well. But I was thinking, you know, I can't, and even kind of when I was speaking to people, they were saying it's very complicated, our product does a lot of things, it's super hard, it takes a lot of time to learn, you have to understand it, dive deeper, it takes 6 months, a year, whatever. So it's like, okay, well, how can we do something about it? So we turned to a little bit to Jerry McGovern. There was a workshop about 2 years ago, UX Sofia, about top tasks. So we're thinking, okay, well, what he's saying is typically for a survey of 100 tasks, the top 4 or 5 actually get 25% of the vote. So, like, people are only, like, what matters to people are only about, let's say, 5 things. So we were thinking about it. We were discussing in our minds, and when we were discussing with customers as well, and internally with product management and the teams, we were saying, okay, well, yeah, our product, and generally any product, can do about 5 things that really, really matter and actually matter for the people. So what we sat down just to give an example. Again, we spoke to customers, we spoke internally to stakeholders. We butchered a little bit the framework because it's a relatively long and windy framework, but please read through it, it's a really interesting one. And so we did look at kind of, we said, okay, we have 4, not even 5, but we were agreed with product management and kind of the teams that we're going to delve deeper into 4 scenarios. 4, we want to call them tasks, you can call them outcomes, you can call them jobs to be done. There are different frameworks that exist that you can use, that you can utilize. I think Martina was kind of amazing in presenting different ways that you can think about this. But in any case, we said, okay, those are the 4 things that matter to us, that make sense for us and for our customers. It's like, as a financial app, it was receiving funds from end customers, holding, converting between entities to manage liquidity, because it doesn't matter right now. You could be able to send to business partners, or you could be paying out to end customers. Nothing more. We had so many other features, sub-features, feature of the feature, things that were called products, things that were called something else. It didn't quite matter, because people really cared about these 4 things. So cool, we have that, we're ready, our strategy is ready, is it? Don't know. So what did we do? We turned to another bright mind, Jared Spool, who's talking about kind of what's a great customer experience and actually measuring an experience and not the product use. We've all seen like our objectives to increase engagement, increase acquisition, our objectives to add more revenue, our objectives to increase volumes, and those are really good objectives. And we also have product metrics, it's like abandonment rates, NPS scores, SUS systems, everything, and those are kind of helpful to get a feel of kind of where you are, like just measuring your product. But then again, it's not really measuring the experience itself, because you don't know what people are experiencing when they are meeting this data point, because there is no, you don't get the people there. So what Jared is saying, you know, talk to people, obviously, duh. And doesn't matter what framework you use, doesn't matter like how exactly you write it down, there's multiple ways to do it. But it's kind of captured there. So they have this task that they're trying to achieve, and then they start somewhere, and then they go and they have like step 1 that they did, step 2 that they do, step 3. So there is kind of a chronological way of doing things, and they feel great, or they feel bad, or they feel okay, or they feel bad again. So what you want to do is then kind of also get their mental model about what great is. As Martina was saying, some of the ideas that they have potentially as well. So what you want to do is capture it out in whichever, again, framework you want to use. And then kind of arguably your UX strategy then emerges as to, okay, we're here and we want to get there. So this is kind of the argument that Jared makes. I think it makes all kinds of senses. And we were thinking, okay, well, what's a good example of this? Okay, it's a task that people are trying to achieve, or a goal, or a thing that they were trying to do. It's very simplified, again, because I don't know what applications you're working on, and I just want to give a general example. So to send a message way back, you have to send an envoy. You have to send a couple of people, maybe give them some weapons, and to achieve the task of receiving the message and being sure that they don't disappear along the way. You know, you hope that things are happening, and it takes time, and it's not super trustworthy, and you know, things can go wrong very quickly. So then at some point you're like, okay, I can train a pigeon. If something happens, at least I don't use a person. They can go potentially fly faster, higher, and deliver said message easier. So technology has evolved. It's not quite a faster horse, right? But it's a faster pigeon. Obviously, jumping a few centuries forward, you can send via ship, car, anything that's kind of your postal services. Faster, more reliable, better. It's an improvement, tangible improvement, than obviously sending a fax. Right now, let's say sending an SMS, recording a message, you know, whatever floats the boat. But all of these are actually geared towards the exact same goal, the exact same task, the exact same outcome that the person was trying to do. It just depends on the technology that was present at the time. So what did we do? What did we say internally? Okay, we have these tasks, we've identified these tasks, and then we have this, let's measure the experience, this way of doing this. So how about we do that? And kind of that's what we started doing. We involved everyone. Everybody became a journalist. We created a guide, scheduled interviews on user testing. And we did enjoy the process of designers, product managers, account managers, and engineers actually talking to the people. We, of course, recorded this, and then we went through an assessment, like a more professional assessment, because everybody is a journalist, but not everybody can crunch data. And then we later on got some footage. We showed it to the squads in the company. We showed the good, the bad, the ugly. We showed what's most commonly seen. Where kind of the most pain points or like the good parts, the good feedback is seen. We didn't present a presentation, we just showed videos, honestly, because we felt and we knew that to see how people are achieving an outcome, it is best to show kind of real customers as much as possible, and obviously it's not always ideal, but it did work. Why did it work? Because while we were presenting, software engineers were coding in the meantime. They were actually seeing, okay, there is a problem here in the front end. Oh, there is a thing that we can change. Hey, do you want to change this label to do that? We even removed one page from the application within the next 2 weeks as well. So we were optimizing quite heavily. We didn't just do usability testing. It was part of it, but we also talked to our customers because we wanted to get their experience outside of the application too. It's not about, okay, can they use the app itself, but also how do they approach, what are their expectations, what are their mental models around such products and this task, and how long do they expect something to take, like all the good stuff. And again, we did use all that information to kind of create this upper thing, more of as a vision, if you want to call it, like the experience that we're all after. So while it's on a prototype level, we've presented it to the company. It's a bit larger company. It's about 300, so it's hard to get everybody very quickly on board on a personal, like on a workshop and get them in together. So we rely a little bit on presentations, but it does show how where the problem is. They've understood it, and now we've created this one where now every project that comes, everything on this roadmap actually, oh yeah, because our product can do 5 things that matter, and people saw these. One of the examples that I can give is people were supposed to be able to send to a partner. We asked people who haven't used the application to do it, and 0 out of 6 people were able to actually send money to a partner for multiple reasons that are not like specifically important. But what we did is we improved this all of a sudden, and now one of the 5 top tasks was done. Now, why is that what we did important? How did it help us? It helped us understand our product better. It's no longer 100 things on a roadmap that are constantly kind of you're jumping from one topic to another, but actually there is only 5 topics, and everything actually attaches nicely to a topic. So it gives you a better sense of the world, like what's your world, what's your playing field, right? So the second one is we did start organizing our work more efficiently. Why? Well, because when you can compare apples to apples, you can see if a certain thing or certain project is now improving a certain aspect of this task and how it is improving it, because you can't compare differently named things unless they connect to one outcome, and the 4 outcomes that we're after are the outcomes that we mentioned. So the third one is we, of course, certainly discerned common issues inside and outside the application, but we saw that people really didn't want faster horses. And talking about horses, I don't know if you've had the conversation. I've had it multiple times with multiple people from different kind of walks of life. They're saying, you know, they're quoting the famous quote. I've asked people what they wanted. They would have said a faster horse. And then I'm the professional, we're the experts. These are only slowing us down because obviously they don't know, people don't know what they want. But it's completely wrong. It never meant, this quote was never meant to say this. It's meant to say that, and the thing is, we never asked people what they wanted. We, again, what we asked them is how they performed their top task today, how they reached the outcome today, whether that's inside the application, outside the application, in their life, with their friends. So what we did was just ask them about their experience, about how they live, what they do, what they think, what they say. Because honestly, on average, your product can do about 5 things that matter, but then it can be great and not average. And yeah, do we have any frequently asked horses on the topic? And I think it helps if Martina was there in the beginning and has done all this mapping. Then you probably have these things already. But when you enter a larger organization with multiple kind of like multiple teams that are creating conflicting flows, we got the reason people weren't able to send this because we had 3 subsets of the sending. So people were able to do different types of currencies and amounts of sending in 3 different places because they were called 3 different things in the application. And one was actually the GSN. The other was just send. The third was you had to go to a different place to navigate. So the thing is, as long as we don't work towards the outcome, work towards the person's goal, we tend to come up with projects that really are then creating an experience that is subpar for the people, it's confusing, and it ultimately drives frustration, rework, and yeah, so hopefully this kind of overview has been helpful. It has helped us quite a lot. Our conversations have changed internally, and yeah. Yes? I think it helped. I think in a controlled environment where definitely it's not like where you have a really robust interview guide where you've agreed and discussed the research questions and then you've gone towards creating interview questions and everybody kind of follows the guide. So it's more structured than completely unstructured. Now, if you want more unstructured, you want somebody who's really experienced in this, like a UX researcher. But for the purposes, the intents and purposes, and with the agreed questionnaire, it was really good. It was really good. And we were also pairing a designer or myself with on the interview, so it was never somebody just being there on their own for the first time. So it went well. It really went well. Yes.
Practical advices on how to concentrate and to get the entire team in the wider means on these 5 or 4 or you know, main things, because there will be like a sales team and marketing team and this and that, and they all will fight for, you know, these mini features that someone asked about them. So any practical advices?
I don't think it solves this problem. Like there's always going to be ideas ahead of research. And we're hit constantly from clients because like in our company we have amazing relationships with clients, so they're always on Slack, on calls and everything, and they're not shy of giving ideas. Internally, people also have ideas, and I think what it helps is first that the company accepts and understands that those are the big outcomes or objectives that people are inching towards. Actually, marketing were really great in our case because they adopted these and actually are using the same as, they're calling them use cases. Again, different ways to call kind of sort of the same thing. But they're using it and they're also aligning, now we're aligning sales and we're making the sales materials in that way. So that we're not selling a specific abbreviation, but we're actually selling like a use case or a whole kind of outcome to the customers. You want to do this, this is how you do it. We're able to create demos as well, so what we've been busy is creating actual product demos that are specific for for specific companies. And yeah, the ideas, how it helps us is because we can compartmentalize them a little bit. So we're saying, oh, this idea, what does it do? Like, how does it help? Does it help one use case? Does it help multiple use cases? What does it do? So at least we know that when we're setting goals and we're talking about like what we're trying to achieve, we know that we can put that there. It makes sense. There is a ground now. Yeah. Hope that answered.
Let's thank Spas now.
Thank you
Good
so
talk.
much.
Thank you.